Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang Dhammang Sanghang Namasami. So this evening is the Salha Puja, and we chanted the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So the obvious subject for the Dhamma talk is Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Four Noble Truths, Eightfold Path. You've heard it all before, but it's just so important to recollect it, review it, consider it deeply, because it really is the essence of the Buddha's teaching, and is not really a just some, I don't know, some rinky-dink, low-level theme of Dhamma that the Buddha thought of sort of to begin with. This is arising out of the awakened mind of the Buddha, and is also he had plenty of time to contemplate what would be the best thing to teach, as he was awakened, and of course his first inclination after all that was to not teach, but then, just out of compassion and generosity, he really considered and set that intention to teach what he had been awakened to. And then he considered who he would teach it to, and the first thing that comes up is his kind of gratitude to his teachers that he had before, who had helped him to realize deep states of stability of mind. But then he recognized that they had passed away, and then he thought of the 5 ascetics who had been practicing with him when he was striving for awakening. And then he really, these are really sincere, determined people who are ripe for awakening, and these are the people to give my first teaching to. And then he reflected on where they were. Where do I find them in order to begin teaching? And they were in Benares, and of course the Buddha was in Bodh Gaya, and it's about 200 kilometers away. And so the Buddha set out walking. So it took him many days to do that, even if he were a really brisk walker. It still takes many days, and so that along that way, I'm sure that he's reflecting and contemplating what's the best way to help these people. What's the best expression of a teaching that would be useful? Because I think that's one of the say the themes that always stands out to me in reading the suttas, and you've got all these volumes and volumes and volumes of his teaching, is that the Buddha is extremely practical. He's not interested in philosophizing. He's not interested in just intellectual speculation or intellectual gymnastics. What he's interested in is what is useful, what is beneficial, what is going to work, and then he goes and convinces them, because at first the ascetics were not all that keen or not all that impressed, because from their perspective, the Buddha had given up his striving and asceticism because he started to eat solid food. But the Buddha, then they refused to listen 3 times. And finally the Buddha said, well, have I ever spoken like this before? Have I ever said, I know the way, I know the truth now? And then that made them stop and reflect. No, you've never talked like that before. So then they were open to listening. So then the Buddha expounds. It's the theme of the Four Noble Truths, and this the central piece of say dukkha. There is dukkha, and dukkha is the problem of our life, the sense of suffering, of stress, of discontent, of dissatisfaction, of dis-ease. There's many translations. The gist of it is, it's okay. There's a problem here, and there's a solution to that problem. So so this is what the Buddha picks up as a theme to be exploring, is to investigate this experience of dukkha, because normally we don't actually investigate it. We run away from it. We cover it over. We justify it. We resent it. All the different ways that we tend to react to dukkha, to the various forms of suffering, are counterproductive, or don't really end up in a solution. So then but the Buddha is sort of saying, no, you've got to approach this from a different perspective. And the approach that the Buddha gave was the approach of a doctor diagnosing a patient. There is a disease. There is a particular ailment, and is there a cause of it? Okay. There is a cause. This is what the cause is. Is it possible for it to be cured? Can it be cured? And you say, well, okay, yeah, is there an end of this illness? You say, okay, here's an end. There is an end, and how to reach that end. So that's how the Four Noble Truths are structured. There is dukkha. There is a cause of dukkha. There is an ending. There is a cessation of dukkha. There is a path leading to cessation. There's a way of practice. There's a way of engaging by body, speech, and mind to remedy this dukkha, this suffering. So it's again, this theme of practicality. It's very practical. And when the Buddha points to, what is dukkha, again, it's not intellectualized or philosophized. It's things that are very tangible. Birth is dukkha. Aging is dukkha. Death is dukkha. Sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair, all the emotional elements of disappointment and difficulty. These are dukkha. The separation from the light is dukkha. The association with the disliked is dukkha. Not getting what one wants is dukkha. But then but tying it all together, that sankitena panchupadana kanda. In brief, these five five khandas that are subject to clinging, to attachment. The five aspects of form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. These things that are a basis of our identity. This is what is dukkha. And the important part is that's what is subject to grasping, what is subject to clinging. And when we cling to our body, may it not get old, may it not get sick, may it not die. That is. One is just an impossibility. You can do things to ameliorate for very short periods of time, but in the end, there's nothing one can do if one is clinging. One cannot cling. It's interesting. Ajahn Chah, when he came to England, and he was teaching at the Manjushri Institute up in the north of England. There's a talk that's titled Four Noble Truths, and he actually is in the talk. He says, "Okay, I'm going to give you a teaching on the Four Noble Truths," and then he doesn't actually say all that much about the Four Noble Truths. But what he he illustrates it as these, these Four Noble Truths, the suffering and the ending of suffering. As he said, it's like somebody who goes into a village and looks at because there's Thai villages in the countryside. There's always ducks and chickens, either wandering around or in small little pens or in small little coops. And he said, but it's like suffering in the human condition. It's like somebody who goes and goes into a village and, why aren't the ducks more like the chickens? Why aren't, the chickens should be more like the ducks. This wishing for something impossible. This is what dukkha is. It's just this conceiving of something and trying to get something, wanting something to be something that it isn't. And so this body, this mind, this world that we live in are like it is. It's not that we can't do anything to make it better. In fact, the Buddha is quite adamant that we like one of the fixed kind of truths that the Buddha teaches is that that sense of that there is an efficacy in action, and we can put wholesome causes in that are conducive to happiness and well-being, and we can avoid the tendencies that we do have or the habits that we have that result in the unwholesome, the unskillful, the unpleasant, and these are this is something that is a truth that is to be embraced, because paying attention to the results of our actions results in well-being and happiness. And we all wish to be happy. I mean, nobody gets up in the morning and you go and brush your teeth and wash your face and look in the mirror and say, wow, today, I wonder how miserable I can be. And everybody's hoping to be happy and be wishing for well-being. It's just that is a natural impulse in the human condition. And how do we realize that? How do we make it real? So it's by paying attention to the process of where does this dukkha come from. So that's like as Ajahn Chah is sort of pointing out, it's this misplaced desire, the misplaced attachments and clinging to different things. And this is where the Buddha points to, say, the different kinds of attachment to the attachment to the body, and attachment to sensuality, attachment to views and opinions, attachment to the sense of identity, a sense of self, attachment to the different kind of ways that we think are going to be of efficacy, but it's misplaced attachment, clinging, so that this tendency to, say, desire, to tanha, is what the Buddha points to as the cause of clinging, and it is a very specific term. Tanha is desire that is always associated with greed, hatred, and delusion, always ends up in dukkha. And does that mean we can't wish for anything or want anything at all? No, not really. because there's other forms of desire that the Buddha points to that are really wholesome and skillful. And it can be chanda is another word for desire, and one could translate that. I mean, normally it's just translated as desire. We could translate it as motivation, which is a more neutral. And it's chanda can be a. I mean, it can go both ways. It's a neutral term because it's in the 5 hindrances. Kama chanda is of course is a negative, but the say in terms of positive, it can be there on its own as chanda. Say like in the Itipadas, the 4 bases of spiritual success. Chanda, virya, citta, vimamsa. Chanda is a wholesome desire, skillful desire, skillful motivation, leading to effort, leading to application of mind, leading to investigation. So that's incredibly wholesome. Or it can be, sometimes it's chanda is qualified in a positive way. So Dhamma chanda, desire for the Dhamma, that wish to real desire for the truth. Kusala chanda, desire for the wholesome, the skillful. Those are all beautiful ways of uplifting the mind. And so that sense of it's not that every single desire is going to lead to suffering, but tanha, misguided desire, deluded desire, that's going to take one to dukkha. That's what the Buddha points to as the cause of dukkha. That is recognizing that this is a causal process. Understand, recognizing what is the problem? What's the cause of the problem? Is there a solution to this problem? You think, oh yeah, well yes, there is. Of course, the Buddha says absolutely, there is a solution to this problem of dukkha. Eightfold path of practice. The sila, samadhi, virtue, meditation, and wisdom, discernment as a path that we cultivate in order to develop an acuity of both attention and discernment. So that, because the problem with, say, desire and clinging or upandana, attachment, is that it is rooted in a lack of understanding, lack of true knowledge. That's why what the Buddha, say the technical term the Buddha uses is avijja, the lack of true knowledge. I mean, sometimes it's translated as ignorance, but that doesn't quite get the nuance of it, because it isn't a lack of information; it is skewed information, skewed. So the sense of the avijja, this lack of true knowledge, coupled with tanha and desire, the two of them together, it's like a double whammy that it's really difficult to untangle. And so that you have to really pay attention to the tools that we have available to us in order to be able to develop the stability and clarity, and acuity of discernment that allows us to let go, because it's the path of the Buddha's practice. I mean, all along the way, it's a process of letting go, of relinquishment, and that being willing to relinquish and let go. This is it's a really essential piece of this. Say the spirit of practice is not so much, and of course, living here at Amaravati, we hear it over and over and over with Luang Por Pasanno, that kind of me practicing to get something, me practicing to be somebody, something, is going to end up in discontent and dissatisfaction and suffering. But the willingness to practice, to train, to put forth effort with a spirit of relinquishment and letting go is the way that the heart can really open to the possibility of freedom from suffering, and to be taking an interest. What can I let go of? If I let go of this view and opinion, or if I let go of this kind of object of desire, the sense, or the desire that's seeking this particular object, would I be happier, or would I be diminished? And the more clearly one reflects and sees, the more you're willing to let go, the happier and the more spacious one is, because we tend to clutter our life, clutter our minds with desires, with attachments, with views and opinions, with kind of identities, the identities that we try to live up to. I should be such. I should be a good monk. I should be a good nun. And of course we should, but it's sort of the clinging that is the problem, the identification, which oftentimes underlies is a certain fear of, what if I fail? What if I don't? So the mind spins off and we do that with everything in our positions in life, our responsibilities, our duties. And it's not as if we let go of all of our responsibilities and duties. We let go of the attachment to it, the identity and identification with it. And you realize that's where the space is. That's where the way out is through this process and willingness to relinquish, to let go. And that's where even in the chanting, when the Buddha points to, in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, when the Buddha pointing to the ending of suffering, the nirodha satya, the truth of the ending of suffering, the Buddha points to four particular qualities to be attending to: jako, patinisago, mutti, analayo. And that's a jhaka is giving, is it is a relinquishing, but it has the implication of giving, of generosity. It's very similar to dana, but jhaka has a tone of relinquishment to it, of letting go within it, and that so that there's this and that a kind of a generosity of spirit that's willing to let go of views or of competition, of say petty irritations and grudge. The mind becomes happier when we let it go, and not in a fearful or worried or begrudging way, but in a I can give that up. Wow, lovely. Patinisago is these are all words similes for this is usually translated just as relinquishment. It's always the relinquishment of self, the relinquishment of self, of identity, identification of I am, is this patinisaga. And that is again, another aspect of this letting go, because so much of our desire and clinging is around propping up a sense of me. What would I be without my desires and my things that I attach to? It can be quite scary to contemplate it. It can also be very incredibly liberating to really contemplate it. Saying just again that sense of, wow, it would just be such a release of a burden. Mutti is a again is like release, because when we hold on to something, that's mutti is like putting something down, releasing it, letting it go, and Ajahn Chah was oftentimes, he says, the nature of the mind is that in order to do anything, we do have to hold on, just to be able to see something clearly. Okay, look at the clock. I got to hold it, and you hold on, but then you put it down, you release it. And that happiness that comes from just being willing to release and just let things go. You use it, and so that Ajahn Chah would say, you pick stuff up, you hold on, but you don't hold on tightly. It's like holding on loosely in a way that you're not desperately clinging. So there's so that sense of lightness of heart that comes from being willing to just put down, let it go, release it, relinquish. And the analio is often translated as non-desire, but it's also as it's like it's the not sticking of desire. So it's like a not sticking quality, and that sense of the mind being able to, like you think, thoughts or impressions come up in the mind, and just to be able to see it, and memories come up, and to see it and just to relinquish, to let go, to not get caught, and not get to non-adherence. It's like kind of the Teflon mind. It's just is able to engage, but not end up being stuck to moods, impressions, views, opinions, identities, identifications. It's just not sticking to it. So there's this, it all circles around relinquishment and letting go. So that's always accessible. And again, it's practical. It's not practical to be accumulating identity or accumulating grudges, accumulating obsessions of craving. It's an impractical way to live. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, we do it all the time, of course, but that doesn't mean we're rational beings. We irrationally cling to things that create suffering for us. This is this waking up to seeing what is going to make life more comfortable, what's going to make life more easeful and pleasant and peaceful, and it's around not suffering. And so that willingness to take the step into non-suffering, and it didn't. This is it's just such a say tangible goal that the Buddha is pointing to. Again, it's not some mystical philosophy. It is about the human condition, about the human heart, and what can we do to live in a way that makes this allows us to live with a sense of well-being and ease, and to be free from suffering, which is what we all fear and don't want to carry around. And so it's just having the tools to do it. I mean, that's one of the things that the Buddha was brilliant at doing, was giving us the tools to accomplish this goal of a life well lived, a life wisely lived. I think that's enough for this evening. I'll offer it for reflection.